shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans.
Hey everyone, welcome to Truth, Lies, Shenanigans. I'm Neil Nix. Thank you so much for joining us. Today is March 14th, 2021. And for today's show, we've got a fun guest for you guys. Singer, musician, actor, social influencer, Miss Olivia Griffin. We're going to be having a great conversation with her about her career and her fun social media videos. Also, we've got some deep, hot topics today. Robbie Rock is talking Texas, trying to make abortion punishable by death. Lizzie Enders has some racist law professors she wants to talk about. And Gianni Storm hits us with her quickfire question on George Floyd. As always, stick around till the end for our game show where we're bringing back quick and dirty.
A little bit of Charlie Brown there, a little bit of Charlie Brown on there.
The adults are talking.
Definitely Charlie Brown.
All right, now before we get into the show, we've got some fun co-hosts to introduce you to. Our professor, writer, editor, journalist out of Washington, D.C., Miss Lizzie Enders.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. What's happening, everyone? Happy Sunday, fun day. So far, it has not been a fun day for me. The U.S. government has stolen an hour out of my life with this daylight saving time nonsense.
Yes.
So I'm cranky. I haven't had my full 3.5 hours of sleep for the day. So please bear with me. Please bear with me.
All right, our rock star with the rock band Fallen Machine coming to you from Sudbury, Ontario, Mr. Rob B. Rock.
What's up, everyone? Happy Sunday, fun day. Today is actually Pi Day. So in honor of Pi Day, I want to present you with a fact. Did you know that 3.14% of sailors are pirates?
Oh, God.
I love Rob. How can you not?
Wah, wah. All right. And then streaming from Atlanta, Georgia, college student, model, actress, and co-host of Truth, Lies, Shenanigans Unscripted, Miss Gianni Storm.
Hey guys.
What's up?
How do I follow that joke? No, I think I had a really good. I won't come up with one, but I had a really good week, guys. It's been really nice. The weather has been cheering up everybody, so it's good. Spring is right around the corner, and I'm excited. Excited.
Right. I remind people when and where they can watch you on TLS Unscripted.
Yes, you can watch me and co-host Olivia E. on Instagram at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays for Unscripted.
All right, make sure you check them out. It's a fun show. All right, so our co-host Gianni has a quick fire question for us.
Okay, guys, so George Floyd's family received $27 million from the city of Minneapolis this past week. Do you guys believe this was enough money?
Robbie Rock?
No amount of money fixes this, but if his family is good with the settlement amount, then I am also.
Lizzie Enders?
No amount of money is never enough. That's not what civil lawsuits are about. But yeah, I'm with Rob. If they hold it, so be it. So be it.
I'm good with the $27 million. It makes a statement. Makes a statement finally that, you know, it's the highest settlement they've had. So, like Lizzie said, it's about the statement, not about recovering the life. So Gianni, you had another question?
Yeah, the second question I had, in the same week that this happened, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin now faces first, second, and third degree murder charges in the death of George Floyd. So if convicted, I'm saying his name weird, but Chauvin.
Chauvin.
Yeah,
Chauvin.
Something.
Chauvin.
Oh my God. He could face up to 40 years in prison for second-degree murder, up to 25 years for third-degree murder, and up to 10 years for second-degree manslaughter. Thoughts?
All right, let's start with Lizzie on that one.
What's the question? Or thoughts?
What are your
about
thoughts
that? I think it's great. I'm glad that they added the option for the third-degree murder charge. The more options you give the jury, the more likely they are to convict. If it had just been one option, first-degree murder, there would have been likelihood there would have been no conviction at all. So this gives them some breathing room for those who may be like, okay, we need to do something, and not something too harsh. So I'm happy with it. I'm fine with it.
He's most likely not to get all of those, like 40 years plus 25 plus 10. Most likely no, right?
No, most
It
likely
could
no.
happen anyway, though. It just depends on what the judge and the jury decide. I mean, he could get them consecutively. He could.
But you're not going to be charged. You're not going to be charged with all three. You choose one, and it goes accordingly. At least for the murder charges. Now, if he had additional charges, like if he had additional assault or something like that, but that's why they offer. And a lot of times, district attorneys are put between a rock and a hard place because they don't offer those extra charges. They just stick to the one first-degree murder, and then the jury comes back and like, oh, we don't think this was premeditated murder. So I think this is good that they have some options here.
Definitely.
Agreed.
RB, what do you think?
I have to agree with Liz 100% on this, that at least this gives the prosecution some options to really at least go after a charge that will stick. Because that's it. I'm not sure how the trial is going to go down because of, I mean, there's been so many shady dealings and how this has been handled legally, but it's nice to see that there are a variety of charges that are being brought forward, so that hopefully we can get one or more of these charges to stick. And I really hope that there's some kind of prosecution, because it's absolutely, I think it's required in order to. Yeah. Well, that's it. There needs to be some punishment for what happened. Otherwise, people are just going to lose their minds again, and quite rightfully.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question a crime was committed. I mean, even if we're talking just, depraved indifference, there was a crime committed because he just stood there. I mean, it was just a horrible scene. I mean, especially when you have people standing around saying, look, the guy is unresponsive, get off his neck. I mean, he was definitely, so he's got to be convicted of something. If he's not convicted of something, I mean, I don't know how the world doesn't just pop off and go off. I just don't know how it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Mike Winter brings up a good point. Just very quickly, Mike Winter brings up a good point in the comments. In the case of Breonna Taylor, and the reason why the majority of those officers were not charged is because when
Did we lose her?
They took everything. Oh, yeah. And so that's why, only one charge that really wasn't directly related to the killing of Breonna Taylor, because all of the charges were not made available to the grand jury. So they couldn't indict X, Y, and Z.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Did you have any last thoughts, Yanni? We got to move on.
I was going to say, I feel like the news is bittersweet to George Floyd's family because, of course, something like that had to happen. But at least they are starting to see some good from it. They are able to settle, with the amount that they did. And also the murderer is going to be convicted of something, hopefully.
Yeah. All right. Good quick fire. All right, so we've got the shenanigans out of the way a bit. If you've never been to TLS, Truth Lies Shenanigans, before, let me tell you a bit about us. Our hosts and guests share their truths and opinions with you, call out those lies, and point out any ridiculous shenanigans going on. And on our show, we always try to have fun with some shenanigans of our own. The show streams live just about everywhere. You can quickly find us on YouTube. Just go to TLSshow.com or search at TLSLiveShow across all major social media platforms. And you can listen to Truth Lies Shenanigans anytime on iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Now it's time for our guest spotlight. Today's spotlight is on singer, songwriter, actress, Miss Olivia Griffin. there she is. Welcome to the show, Olivia. How is
Hey,
it?
Thanks for
Olivia.
having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, let me give you a little background on Olivia. Olivia is a New York City based singer, songwriter, actor, activist, host, and creator who is passionate about creating music with a message. Known for her work in the Sony Broadway cast recording of Bo the Musical, and for her shows Living Room Tunes and Vibe Check Live, which is hosted on the Airtime app. And you can find Olivia's music on all music streaming platforms. Again, Olivia, thank you for joining us. We appreciate having you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So my first question is real simple. Tell us just a little bit more about yourself and give us something that people can't Google about you.
Oh, okay. Oh my God, that's a good one. Okay, so my background, I'm Olivia. And I'm from Michigan originally, from Detroit, and I live in New York City now. And I guess like background of like who I am as a human is like I went to school for acting, musical theater, and so I like moved to New York. But then when you get to New York, you kind of have to do it. And then I moved to New York in Hillary Clinton was president. And then what had happened after that, I like got very active also, like politically, like in a way that I hadn't been before because I was so worked up, you know,
Yeah.
for 4 years. So now I'm still, it doesn't end. But that's basically like my background with like I'm very like finger on the pulse type person, but then also one of those multi hyphens as we have to be these days with like doing singing,
Very true.
doing writing, because like as an actor you these days you really have to create your own work, so that's I just continue to
Yeah.
do that. And I guess something people wouldn't know, you can't Google about me, is like I'm like this my roommates are gonna be like I'm like no not known for sure. You know that I read every vampire book.
Every
And like
vampire book.
even when they're really bad, I do it as a joke now. Like it's gotten a
Really?
little out of hand, but
That's fun.
So
Wait,
what's your
like
favorite
Twilight?
vampire book?
okay, my favorite is the Transfusion series because it's part of the Afterlife
it?
saga. That's like a long, so it's a deep dive. If anyone goes into it, there's 27 books in that like universe. So it's like,
Wow.
but my background, when I was in middle school, my first like thing I ever posted online was a Twilight talk show. Like I was on The
Oh,
View, me and my
nice.
friends like in the basement, like debating the characters of Twilight. So don't
Very
have that
cool.
online anymore, but I like have not changed very much.
I've seen you do some commentary on your page about
Nice.
Twilight. So
What about
It's
Anne
like you got to.
What about Anne Rice? Were you a big Anne Rice fan?
I am familiar, but I like my like I basically read the versions of Twilight. It's like what had ended up happening.
Yeah.
We gotta get you in Anne Rice, girl.
so
See, I'm old.
I know.
I'm old. I think it's a generational thing. I'm old, so I am Anne
You're
Rice,
not old,
Interview with
sis.
the Vampire Lestat, all of that. Twilight, I could not get into. I think it was just a little bit young for me. But I love
It is
my
vampires.
barrier
for you
there,
now.
I love
yeah, my
vampires. I think
barrier
vampires
was
are
date,
sexy.
but daytime
Would you say?
vampires? No, that's where Twilight lost me. Daylight
And they were all
sparkly
Right,
very
well,
vampires.
like
glittery.
They
the
sparkle when
rules.
they
I
burn
mean,
in
literally,
the
like I
daylight.
can't read it now. Can't read it now, but like the transfusion books are better than the ones I like because the vampires are like demons. So it's like I don't know, it makes
Oh,
sense
it's
in
a
my
little
head. It's like,
edge.
oh, it's just a type of a demon.
yeah.
Okay.
So I know
It's a
you're
little
pretty
edgy.
socially aware, Olivia. So we had a quick fire question. I hope you heard it. So what do you
I
think
did.
about the George Floyd $27 million civil settlement?
Yeah, I agree with basically everyone's answer of like there's no price on like a life, of course, but it definitely sets a statement and a precedence as we move forward
Yeah.
with like unfortunately other things like Breonna Taylor that we're still kind of waiting for.
Yep. All right, so you're an amazing content creator, and we found you on TikTok because you have a fun segment where you, pick current topics and use riffs and runs to describe them. And this is actually one that you did, wooing over the Bridgerton
Where's
actor.
the Duke? Let's do it.
Yes,
Riding
girl.
my pony.
Like I knew Lizzie would enjoy that one.
Oh God.
And here's another one where you have a recent one pointing to an article on how Republicans are actively working on local legislation across the country to suppress the vote for the midterms.
Why? That looks like foolishness to me. That looks like foolishness to me.
Yes.
I love it.
Love
I
it.
Oh God.
So,
Oh my
let me just
God.
ask you,
Thanks.
what's your inspiration? What was your inspiration for some of what you do, some of your content?
I mean that's a good question. I guess I feel like it kind of like the way that I started to do these like singing the news thing came from I like when I started doing TikTok, I was just doing like political things, but then I am like a singer. So I was like, "Oh, maybe I should do music things." But I didn't know how to like merge the two because the people who were following me about like my commentary on like what's going on, it was such a different group than would be following me because you were in this show or something or like you did musicals. So I just started singing it and adding like I first started doing it where I would like sing a riff and then talk, and so now I just change it up sometimes. So sometimes it's like an attention grabber to like do a riff and then say my opinion, or I'll just article and
Yeah.
like riff about it. Because then it gets people talking about it too, especially
does.
like people who do
Yeah, that's
follow,
true.
musical theater or like, I'm a musician, songwriter. It's very easy for people in that demographic who miss a lot of like they watch news when it's like just one really big hot topic and then they like drop it for a while.
Mhm.
So it just keeps it on their For You page.
By the way, I just want to point
Yeah.
out on Instagram, Chaotic Neutral Podcast says they love the earrings.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh,
They are
the
a
Grammys
statement.
tonight. The Grammys tonight.
That's right.
Yes, it's true.
All right, Gianni Storm.
I
did
mean,
you have a question?
I'm just watching them at home, but I will dress up. I'll dress up a little more for the Grammys even. These will be the
I
earrings
mean,
for the night.
so again, I'm kind of old, so I stopped consecutively or consistently watching the Grammys a long time ago. But my boo thing, Bruno, is making his return.
Oh, Bruno.
And my
yeah.
other boo thing is hosting tonight, Trevor Noah. So yeah, I have
Oh,
to
those-
watch
yeah,
a little
those are
bit
her
of
boo
it
things.
tonight.
Oh yeah, you love
Those
this
are my boo-
Trevor.
those are my boos. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Gianni, you had a
You're gonna
question?
tune in for them. Yes. So Olivia, I know that you said that you majored in musical theater. Do you see yourself on Broadway?
Oh, that's a good question. So yes and no. So like I think this is like a long I'm not gonna do a long answer. But I think like when I first got out of school, when you're not in New York and you think of Broadway, it's like, oh my gosh, the mad way. But then when you get out and you're working within the industry, you kind of and this is I'm like Miss, diversity over here. You start to see what the industry actually is. So right now, if the industry is what it was prior to the pandemic, it will like not be very comfortable or fulfilling for me to like do that. But if the industry starts to make positive changes, then I want to be a part of it like 100%.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, Robbie Rock.
So my question for you, as I was going through some of your back content and I was listening to some of the covers that you were laying down with friends, and my question is, which artists instilled that love of music for you as a child, and who are some of the artists that inspire you today or that you just have a tremendous amount of respect for?
Oh, so okay, growing up, I was a huge like number one was Christina Aguilera. That gives my like because like, that's one of my youngest memories is like Genie in a Bottle. I followed her forever, so that was favorite. Grew up in a household where like my lullaby was Remember the Time, Michael Jackson. So that's like
A
how
lullaby.
my dad would like get us to go to bed. And I'm literally in my room right now. It's behind me, but I'm like I have like 5 Michael Jackson posters in my room right now. So I would definitely say Michael Jackson is like one, and like it's obviously like the number one. But then when it came to like wanting to know how to play instruments and all of that, it was first Aretha Franklin, seeing her like play and sing on piano because I was taking piano lessons and did not enjoy piano lessons. But then I started playing Aretha Franklin music and gospel music, which became Alicia Keys music and Stevie Wonder music. And so
Mhm.
John
Yeah.
Legend. So all of those, like anybody who played and sang piano was like because that was like the first instrument I learned.
Which you did.
That was like, oh yeah, I want to be them.
Wow.
All right, Lizzie.
And I do
Amazing.
have one request
Go ahead, Olivia.
for your future content, at least on YouTube. Please share your lyrics with us because you are a very poetic lyricist. They're beautiful
Good
lyrics.
idea.
I could turn the closed captioning on, but if you could share them with us, it would be
I
beautiful moving
should.
forward.
I'll drop them in the description. I will.
That's good.
Nice.
All right, Lizzie.
So one, I appreciate your unconventional lullaby as a child. For me, when I was younger, my sister Jacqueline Robinson, who is watching and commenting on the show, she's 12 years older. And so her lullaby that she would play for me was Prince's International Lover. Now, that's not necessarily appropriate for a 6-year-old trying to go to sleep. But when she turned that on when it was bedtime, I would just blush and just curl up in my bed and be like, okay, I'm going to sleep to Prince now. He's one of my favorite artists of all time. But my question for you is, and it's going to put you on the spot a little bit. So you were singing tunes to political themes. How would you change our kind of antiquated truth lies shenanigans theme? I don't know if you heard it in the intro or whatever, but how would you change that? Like, can you give us a little bit of voice right now and
Ooh.
Okay.
truth lies shenanigans?
Okay. Okay. I'm like, oh my god, I'm not warmed up. No, I'm joking. Okay. So usually it's like true lies, shenanigans. So you want me to like riff on it? Here we go.
Yeah.
True lies, chance. True lies, shenanigans. Hey. There you go.
Love.
Ooh.
All
Love.
right. All
Man.
right. Neil,
Thank
we might
you,
have to
Olivia.
hire this
Good
girl.
job.
We might have to hire her.
We need a
You
new
have to
theme
reach
song.
out on that
Update
one.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. All right, so no, you also do your live shows where you sing. I want to play. I don't think this was a live one, but I just want to. You just sing straight. You don't just do commentary, but you sing. I'm gonna play this one real quick.
Own little corner in my own little chair. I can be whatever I want to be.
Beautiful. It gives
I
me
mean, you
chills.
have
I
a
love
beautiful voice.
it.
So, I mean, with your live concerts, you're just playing whatever comes. Do you have a plan, or do you just play whatever kind of comes to you at the
Yeah.
moment?
Good question.
So I'm so as like the like host for my it's called so Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Airtime app. It's called Living Room Tunes. And so I have 2 or 3 guests every week and it's kind of like it's like just watching a jam session. So I other than like an opening song, I just match the vibe of whoever I have on. And I try to like if it's possible to have like people who I think will kind of go together. So I mean, sometimes I have a mixture, but yeah, like if like everybody's playing ukulele, then I'll also play ukulele, right? You know, and if everyone is like a piano player, then I'll also play piano. If people are doing more like folk
Oh.
stuff, then I'll do that. So that's kind of how I decide is based on who is on my uh show that week. Like this week I have the people are songwriters, so I'll do original content. But if someone came on and they're all doing covers, I'm not gonna like do originals, and I do covers to like match.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
Do you have a favorite song to perform? It could be
Ooh.
a favorite cover to perform. A favorite cover to perform.
Yeah, I think it's How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore by Prince, because I used to
Mm.
do that for like ever, and I just used to do that
Oh,
always.
Liz.
Like when I did it in like all the talent shows, and like I still do it now. It's
Wow.
like a warm up. It's like definitely my
Mm.
favorite.
Nice. And Alicia Keys does a good version of it as well. So yeah, good choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that actually is all the time we have, but I want to go over some of the comments online, and then I'm going to give you a chance to kind of like say any last words. So we got Daria Winter says, yeah, remember the time. She loves some remember the time. Uh, Jacqueline Robinson, look at Lizzie telling tales out of school. Jeanette Brown says, love me some Trevor Noah. She said, old. Some of us grew up watching Dark Shadows in the afternoons. Talking about some vampire
Ooh.
comments.
Oh,
Ooh.
jeez.
So yeah. So I wanted to give you just an opportunity to kind of like share any final words and make sure we can tell everyone where we can find you and where we can find
Yes.
you online.
Oh, okay. So, well, final words are thank you for having me. This was so. And if places you can find me on Instagram and TikTok as at OG underscore Olivia Griffin. My initials are OG. Oh my gosh.
OG.
Good luck. And then I'm the OG. I'm the real OG. But then I'm on
Exactly.
YouTube as well as OG Olivia Griffin. I'm on Facebook.com/OG Griffin. And I'm on the Airtime app and Twitter as at OG Olivia Griffin. So it's either OG Olivia Griffin or OG underscore Olivia Griffin.
All right.
There
So
you
yeah,
go.
definitely check
And I'm
that
on
Nice.
out.
Spotify. I'm on Spotify and iTunes. I'm on all of those platforms as well.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Awesome.
So
Cool.
Spotify, iTunes, Instagram at OG underscore Olivia Griffin. All right. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Olivia, for joining us. We really appreciate it. We're going to have you back at some point.
Thank you,
Yes, I'll see you soon.
Olivia.
Bye.
All right. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia.
Wow. What a great guest,
You're
huh?
great.
Man, I love that voice.
Yeah, she was lovely.
I
She was lovely.
I didn't have a chance to get into the nerdy stuff because she has that beautiful Batman guitar strap, and wanted to talk about my Joker one and see how that fits.
Aw. Rob wanted to nerd out.
Yeah.
We didn't have enough time.
Well, you're going to be on
He's
Nerd
preparing
Apocalypse
for his
pretty soon,
appearance
right?
on Nerdcopolis. He's preparing for his
Oh,
appearance on
yeah.
Nerdcopolis.
I am waiting for confirmation, but it looks like the 25th, Thursday, the 25th is going to be the
Of
evening that
March?
I'm going to be on. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm waiting for Micah to
Nice,
get back to
Rob.
me, Micah and Jay from Nerdpocalypse. And as soon as I have those details confirmed, I will let you know.
Sweet.
Hey,
Nice.
Rob. Okay.
Let's get into our hot topics, guys.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right. The way it works, our hosts bring you hot topics they want to share. We'll ask, is this truth, lies, or shenanigans? And our panel will talk about it for a bit until time is up. And then we'll go to our audience for comments and questions. So make sure you're commenting in any of our comment threads. We are listening to you. So, Rob B. Rock, you wanted to tackle abortion and the death penalty. Is this truth, lies, or is this shenanigans?
Nah, this is truth with a whole lot of shenanigans. So yeah, this Tuesday, Republican member of the Texas House of Representatives, Brian Lee Slayton, introduced an anti-abortion bill that would criminalize the act of having or performing an abortion, making it punishable by charges that could carry the death penalty. So the bill seeks to direct the state attorney general to enforce penalty charges for assaultive offenses and criminal homicide if an abortion is performed, regardless of any contrary federal statute, regulation, treaty, order, or court decision. So the tweet, as it was sent out, was, today I filed the article number, to abolish abortion in Texas. The bill will end the discriminatory practice of terminating the life of innocent children and will guarantee the equal protection of the laws to all Texans, no matter how small. So I should note that Mr. Slayton is also a pastor. And on March 11th, so a couple of days after he posted that tweet, he also posted another one saying that the immigration crisis at our southern border must be stopped That's why I filled legislation to finish Trump's wall on the southern border. The federal government under Biden is failing to protect our borders, so we must stand in the gap. Just sharing this one as additional context to present the political mindset of this individual. So I'm looking for,
What would Jesus
for
do? What
reactions.
would Jesus do?
Well, he'd build a wall and. So my question to my fellow panelists is, why do so many men in religious and political offices feel so strongly about women should be doing with their bodies? And Neo, I know that this really struck a chord with you and you were kind of chomping at the bit. So let's sound off, buddy. I want to hear this.
Yeah, I mean, this topic in general kind of really pisses me off, because this is not about pro-life. That's bullshit, right? Because this is absolutely about control, right? You don't claim to be protecting one life and then make it a penalty to take another life. That's 2 lives lost. I mean, that's freaking hypocritical. I mean, it's straight off. So here's what's happening. The right is trying to get the Trump Supreme Court to overturn Roe versus Wade, which allowed abortion in the U.S. You got Arkansas already just passed a damn near total anti-abortion bill law, even in the case of rape and incest. And Iowa's close to passing another law outlawing it past the point of a heartbeat, right? And honestly, I get it. I know what it's like to see that heartbeat and plan your whole, plan in your head the whole lifetime of, a child, and then all of a sudden that life is just gone, So I personally describe myself as anti-abortion because, there's so many other options out there for prophylaxis. I mean, so I would certainly be one to advocate to try to influence not aborting a child. That's me, right? But I'm also pro-choice because no matter how I feel about it, no one has the right to tell me or anyone else what to do with their bodies. For example, if my wife and I get pregnant and we choose to abort for whatever reason, could be any number of reasons that we choose to do that, you can try to tell me what you think I should and shouldn't do, right? And I can choose to listen or not listen to what you're saying. But you forcing me to do anything or telling me you're going to kill me if I don't do what you say, that's not cool. That is not cool at all. I got more to say, but I want to give my host some time.
I definitely want to hear from the ladies.
Yeah.
Definitely want to hear from the ladies. Liz, I'm loving that smirk right now. So go for it.
It's Sunday, so I'm going to try to, even though I don't necessarily believe in Christianity and the Sabbath, I do respect those that do. But I do say this: stay out of my womb, stay out of my uterus. It's none of your business as a government, as a male who has no connection to me and what is going on with my body and my pregnancy and how I got to this point, what I do with my child, what I do with a child I may be carrying. And I think there's this, idea, this false narrative that people, the majority of women who get abortions, are using it as a form of birth control, which couldn't be farther from the truth. There are a lot of stories behind why people get abortions. And as someone who doesn't know you, it's none, like Neo said, it's none of my business. I respect your opinion. And I got to tell you, if I were in a situation where I was raped or where I was in a medical condition where either my life or the life of the child or the condition of the child could be in jeopardy, or to be honest with you, I just don't want to be pregnant. I don't want to carry a child to term. That is my right. It's my body. The government does not have control over what comes in and out of my body. So again, stay out of my womb, stay out of my uterus. And I think it's very hypocritical of a lot of these Christians, a lot of these Republicans, like Neo alluded to, that they are against abortion, but they're so quick to put a needle in someone's arms and put them on death row and kill them. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yanni, let's hear it.
Yeah. Is it possible to be like pro-choice and pro-life? Because I think nobody wants,
Of course.
you know,
That's what I
babies
that's what I describe myself as.
yeah, like both. But I do think that it's like a fine line with like pro-choice is just anybody should have the choice to do whatever they want with their body. I think that like alluding to what Lizzie said about there are many reasons as to why people abort besides rape, incest, and like having a life-threatening illness that you can't even have pregnancy. So there are many reasons why. I think we should shift our focus as to the reason why. Because if they did say if all of the United States was like, no anti-abortion, no abortion, you'll be put to death if you try. Then there will be other alternatives to abortions for the women that are experiencing it. Because I think the issue is bigger than this like law. Like it's not like an abuse of the system, so to speak. Like we're not, like women aren't just getting abortions for like birth control, like Lizzie said. You know what I mean? So there's reason.
Or because it's trending, Like people aren't getting abortions because it's trending, because it's the cool thing to do.
It's a tough decision to make. It is a tough
traumatic decision.
Yes, and people deal with those decisions afterwards. It's not an easy thing.
I know people who have had abortions in some of those trying circumstances, and as they were going through that, I did not judge. I did not judge. I know, I have friends who had abortions early in the pregnancy. I've had friends who have had a friend who had a late term abortion. And I remember seeing her like maybe 2 months after, and she was broken. Like her spirit was broken. This wasn't something that she wanted to do.
Not a simple decision.
But it was her decision. It needed to be done based on her circumstance. And, for a party, the Republican Party, that is so about small government, they don't want any government control. They sure want to throw out a lot of rules to people, especially women, especially what we want to do with our bodies. They are the biggest hypocrites on the planet. And now you would want to kill people, as if y'all aren't killing enough people already in Texas who have all of these people on death row. Like, come on, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And I think that whether it was a man or a woman or a hermaphrodite, like I think whoever needs to like actually, they need to go into the field, they need to do the field work, ask people or survey or some type of scientific research as to the main reason why people are getting abortions. Because they said that it was a spike in Texas or something. That's why they're doing that. But so what is the reason why these people are getting abortions? Like we need to figure that out so that we can narrow that down and that.
If there's a spike in Texas, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. What's happening is we've been in a pandemic for over a year. So what are people doing at home?
Oh, and then a lot of people are still broke. Yeah.
And if you look at the demographics, when you start looking at abortion numbers, unfortunately, lower income is one of those demographics. And I got to thinking about that earlier today. And if you can't afford to give birth to a child in a hospital, if you can't afford to raise this child, but you can afford a small fraction for the abortion costs, it is a personal decision, absolutely. But there's a lot of mitigating factors that can be at play, not to mention that we've got approximately 4 billion too many hairless apes on the planet as it stands.
Apes.
But no, Rob Reed brings up a good point. Rob Reed brings up a good point, because none of these politicians want anything to do with these kids that aren't being aborted. These kids that, are born into homes that are low income, where nobody has the money to provide for them, where no one wants them, where no one has the psychological wherewithal to take care of them. It's like, okay, have the baby and then you're on your own. And then that's why we see so many abused children, so many children that are caught up in the CPS, Child Protective Services. Like, they just want you to have all these babies and then keep it moving. And it's like, no.
This is not about
I
pro-life.
always challenge the protesters, and that is absolutely the challenge. Where I will ask pro-lifers or people who support pro-life legislation, how many children have you adopted? Does your right to life stop at birth? What about the quality of life down the road? Because we don't want children abandoned by their parents. We don't want children abandoned to the system. We don't want children to be a burden to the system or the responsibility of the system. We want active, happy families. That's what leads to a happy, productive individual down the road. And that's always my challenge. How many children have you adopted? If you're willing to stand out here and sacrifice your time to peddle this message, what have you personally done? And I would have to say 70% of the time the response is none. I have not adopted any children. I can have kids on my own. Well, do your part, man.
Well, like I was saying, so pro-life is bullshit. The argument of pro-life that they use is absolute bullshit. If they put as much time and money and effort into education and the programs that you guys were mentioning, they would actually accomplish their stated goals of pro-life better than trying to come up with these laws that tells you that you're going to kill people and all this. It tells you that it makes no sense. So that's why I'm saying pro-life is bullshit. It's all about control. It's all about
nobody wants to do that.
Men who have no power in the situation. They want that power. Men can't decide to have children or not have children. So they have to try to control the means.
Yeah, they can. Wrap your shit up.
No,
wrap your shit up.
You can control not to have kids, but you can't control to have kids.
But when it's
wrap
too
your
late,
shit up.
like you're saying,
I can't control whether or not. If I want to have a kid right now, I can't just say, I can't put a kid in myself. If I had the option, I'd put a kid right in myself right now, and I'd have a kid. A woman can go to a sperm bank, pop some sperm, and because they have a uterus and they have eggs.
Hold up. But on the flip side of that, a man can hire someone to have a baby for them.
They could.
Yeah, so a man can't
if they have the money for it.
But you have to be qualified.
You have to have money
to be able to.
Yeah,
you have to be qualified.
These men are trying to create situations. These men are trying to create.
Wait. If this were a man, if this was a situation where men were able to reproduce, were able to have children, given the high quantity in which men stick their shit into holes, do you really think we would be having this discussion? Because a man can produce a child at a more rapid pace than a woman can birth a child.
That's
so
true.
If the tables were turned, this would not even be a discussion.
A discussion.
It would be like, oh yeah, abort that baby. Nah.
I'm telling you, this is about men who want to control women's uterus because they have no means to. They don't have the means to make a child without it. You can't make them in a laboratory. You can't do any. Women have a means to make children that men have no control over. Yeah, there's a lot of men that just pop children out. What I'm talking about is the men that want to control the ability to have children. That's what this is about. It's all about control. But
even to your point, though, a woman can't. Even to your extent, to scientifically your point, a woman can't either. Like, she still needs a man's sperm.
But you can. A woman, I'm telling you, you can find a horny man off the street. A woman can find a horny man off the street.
And
a man can't find a horny woman off the street as easily that'll hold a baby for 9 months.
Look at all.
That's true.
Look at all of the homosexual male couples who either have adopted children or who have had surrogate children. They're placing their sperm into somebody. So yes,
it's not saying it's not possible. I'm just talking about likelihood. It's a lot
not
easier
as
for
common.
women.
That they have the ability to make that choice. At the end of the day, regardless of if you continue with Roe versus Wade as a law or not, abortions are not going to stop. We're going to go back to
another point
abortions
to mention.
in the alley. We're going to
another
go
point we
back
didn't
to
mention.
alternative.
black market abortions.
People
So
are
at
going to make
least
those
have it
decisions.
legal and safe.
You could,
At least have it legal and safe.
I'm sure they can probably YouTube how to do abortions now, and that'll just start happening.
Oh my
So
goodness.
You ain't saying
Please don't do that to
truth.
anybody.
don't do it.
YouTube,
Yes,
Never
don't
do
do
all of
it.
it.
Please don't do that.
YouTube. I mean, what did we
Thank you
have
for
2 weeks
disclaimer,
ago?
Gianni.
We just had the show about the what was it? It was the veterinarian, the fake veterinarian who was on TikTok filming how to, how to have was it a dog or a cat?
C-section.
It was a
Yeah,
dog.
it was a dog, a French bulldog.
The dog have a C-section. Like Neo said, it's gonna be on YouTube.
I mean,
It's gonna abortion 101. It's gonna be on YouTube.
they're going to have to outlaw
ridiculous.
that and try to control all of that. It's just going to be, I mean, yeah, they need to give it up. They're never going to, they never should be able to control another person's decision. It's their choices. There was a comment that Olivia mentioned that I do want to kind of cover. Let me try to see if I can get back to it. Hold on. Okay, I am not anti-abortion, but when it's a fetus, but late-term abortions, when it's a human, is murder. We can't just go around killing people just because. Science says it's a child at a certain stage in pregnancy. What do you guys think about that?
And my counter to that is you don't know the circumstance of that late-term abortion.
You cannot.
You don't know what's going on with that particular situation. So, yeah.
I think there should be deterrence towards abortion because personally, I don't like abortion as an option, but I understand the necessity of abortion as an option. So, and I understand that it's not my choice to make as to whether or not someone does that. But with that being said, I like it to be, I like there to be more education. I like there to be more options, more clarity. I mean, I think I would like to see all this effort into helping people in difficult situations make solid, good decisions. Because I've known some people who've gone to abortion and felt it was a bad decision because they didn't feel they understood what they were doing. So I would like to see more of that. Help people. Don't try to, penalize people for making already difficult decisions.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where people try to demonize Planned Parenthood because Planned Parenthood isn't, the one-stop shop where you just go and get an abortion. There's a lot of education. Planned Parenthood does a lot more than abortions. But if you go to Planned Parenthood seeking abortions, they do give you a lot of history, a lot of background. They let you know what this procedure is, what it's about, and what your options are. And they give you the opportunity to think on it. And I think most abortion clinics do that. Like, again, these are medical professionals. This isn't a religion where they're trying to sway you one way back or forth. They're giving you the options. This is what happens. This is what you're in store for. This mentally, this is what you may go through. And I think a lot of that information is not played up enough. We just think, abortion clinics, they are just, recruiting people to come in. Let's suck your baby out. No, that's not how it works.
Get out of these women's uteruses, people. All right, let's get to these comments.
Unless I invite you in.
That's right.
Get out.
All right. Mike Wolf says, if you want the best deterrent to abortion, provide free birth control and good sex education. Yes, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Hello.
He also says the misconception about late-term abortions is that it's a woman who, after suffering through the effects of pregnancy for 8.5 months, just changes her mind on a whim. Just about 100% of the late-term abortions are for serious medical conditions. Either a mother's life is in grave danger or the child has severe defects and no chance of survival. That is very accurate. It's a very big misconception that women don't sit up there at 8 months pregnant saying, oh, you know what? I made a bad decision. That just doesn't happen.
No.
That doesn't happen.
All the hormones and the bond, like the pregnancy bond is a real thing. I've never been pregnant, but I'm saying like the pregnancy bond is a real thing. So I think by that time.
And it's a medical risk. Late-term abortions are a medical risk to the woman as well.
Yeah, they are. Yep. They are dangerous to the woman. Daria Winter says, choice is what we have. We have to understand the nature of choice. Free will enables us to make choices. Growth comes in the choices we make. Jose says, at the end of the day, it's the choice of the person that is carrying the child, no one else, unless the parent wants someone to have a say in it, but it's no one else's business. Let's see, George Fournier, very difficult decision to make. The decision impacts the woman and the man regardless of the decision. Ephraim, my father says, what is the scientific difference between born and unborn child?
Ooh, that's a whole other conversation.
That is a whole other conversation.
Born and unborn, that one's straightforward. Born is the one that's out of the fetus, and unborn is the one that's still inside the fetus.
Oh, he did say the
got that one.
scientific.
But he said the scientific difference, though. I mean,
But
But that is
between
kind of
born
the
and
scientific,
unborn,
right?
That's scientific. That's
Yeah.
scientific.
That's not like the spiritual
how
version.
about Jeanette Brown says, how about the anti-abortion men take responsibility for birth control? Women are responsible for not getting pregnant and getting pregnant and not for getting raped. And that's the other thing about the rape and incest thing.
Yeah, the rape and incest one is.
That's just
Right.
men saying, hey, I want to be able to, I want to be able to put holes in the condom and force you to still have my child. Or I want to be able to rape you and you still have to have my child. Or, do something with my child and then that child still has to have a baby. I mean, those are men trying to control.
It's another
the
form of
situation.
control. Yeah. If I put a baby in
underage.
that's mine. No.
That's not how it works. I mean, I don't know what era we're trying to live in, but that era is long gone. All right.
What are you talking about? We trying to make America great again. We trying to make America great again.
They were trying to. It is, we making America great.
Again.
We're just gonna make America great because I don't know that we've been the best
ever
yet.
there officially.
We still got some ways to go.
It was great the day I was born. I don't know about anything outside. 74, it was fabulous. Everything else.
We spent a lot of time on this topic. It was an important topic to cover, though. But let's get to the next one. Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you, Rob.
No,
that
thank you. That was a good discussion.
Lies, shenanigans.
All right, let's get to the second one. Lizzie, you found a video of some racist professors. Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
It's truth, unfortunately, and the point of reference is a lot of shenanigans, and it resonated with me because, again, I'm a professor. Not only am I a professor, but I am a professor in Washington, D.C., not too far from where this happened. This happened at Georgetown University, which is also in Washington, D.C. And Georgetown University, even though this happened in Georgetown Law School, which I never considered law school ever, but Georgetown, actually, if I had decided to go to school in D.C., that would have been my top choice. And so this kind of pinched me when I saw this story. So earlier this week, it was reported that a Georgetown Law School professor was terminated and a second was placed on leave after a video clip showed a conversation between the pair that included reprehensible statements about Black students and their performance in the classroom. So my question, well, first let's go to the video.
Gotcha.
Yeah, let's go to the video.
A bit jumbled.
Yeah.
It's the best way I can put it. It's like, okay, let me reason through that, what you just said, kind of thing. Yeah, unfortunately. And you know what? I hate to say this. I end up having this, angst every semester that a lot of my lower ones are Blacks. Happens almost every semester. And it's like, oh, come on. Get some really good ones, but they're also usually some that are
some really good ones.
Some really good ones. It's some really good ones.
Yeah.
So I feel bad.
I think it's the really good ones comment that pissed me off the most, but go ahead.
So let me just, before I pose the question to, my panel, my co-host, let me just give a point of reference. There was some miscommunication online. People were thinking, oh, this was a private conversation. No, it wasn't. This conversation happened at the end of a Zoom class. Okay. So students are barely getting out of Zoom. This conversation happened at the end of a Zoom class between two professors. What a lot of people don't know is, as a professor, the majority of us are required by the university to record our Zoom sessions. We have to do it, for legal purposes, but also to give those students who cannot attend the class, who are absent that day, an opportunity to go back and watch the class. So this conversation was a part of a Zoom session that they were still recording. But then subsequent to that, the Georgetown Law School posted this Zoom session on the Georgetown Law website for 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
And so, yes, and so
Nobody saw
that's
it.
that's how it got out. A student posted it on Twitter, but it had been on the
yeah.
Georgetown Law website for 2 weeks. So all students were privy to this conversation. So this wasn't private.
Wow.
None of this was private.
Wow.
So my question to the panel is, should she have been terminated?
Let's start with Gianni, because I know Robbie doesn't like to get the racist ones first.
Thank you.
I wanted to mention, it said the Black Law Students Association also called on the law school to conduct an audit of the Sellers, I think that's the professor's name, her last name is Seller.
Yes.
Sellers grading and student evaluation. It also wants the school to assess and improve its subjective grading system, blah, blah, blah. So I think that I want to, because to terminate her, yes. But because I know, it's, okay, hear me out, guys. Because what she's saying, I understand the terminology. She's saying like calling Black people one of them and stuff like that. She still has some maybe antiquated ways of thinking, but I think that we need to, this is a school. So as long as she has continuously like failed Black students, or like as long as she has like Black students that are not doing as well, maybe we should look at, like they said, the grading system. Like, why are you, not the grading system in the school, but her, like, why is it a record that only Black students are at the bottom of the academic?
So
academic
you're sort of
total
saying
goal.
this feels like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, I think that we need to kind of look more into that, and then if it shows that she's kind of the one that's doing it, like she's kind of the one that's failing these students, or she's not giving them attention or things that they need, maybe that's when she should be fired.
Interesting.
But
Like that.
yeah.
Okay. Robbie Rock? Good. That's a good point.
I really like Johnny's comments that, this is an older person who might be using some outdated terminology or ideas, but it seems that her comments were based on patterns that anecdotal patterns that she has noticed over time. So whether she has a bias that has impacted the grades of Black students, that's the key issue for me. So if there is a history of her giving lower grades to Black students, that's a big issue, and I'm glad that that is part of the review that they're undergoing. One of the things that I found a little funny too about this story is that the gentleman in the conversation, David Batson, he's also been suspended.
I didn't
if I'm not
understand
mistaken. So I don't really understand that one, because he is a peer, and when you see him, he just kind of, to me, it's more of an uncomfortable confirmation, an uncomfortable reaction when someone says something that's just kind of a little bit off, and you kind of go, oh, that's, to me, that's what his reaction was. So should he have confronted her at the time? Maybe, maybe not, but those types of confrontations can be uncomfortable between peers. But at the very least, I would hope that it was reported to the dean of the department. So that's a detail that I don't have. Do I feel that it's appropriate for Sellers to be suspended? Pardon, Liz?
No, I said it wasn't reported. None of this was reported until after the video came out on Twitter.
Yeah, and part of my job is some basic media production for academic events. We record all of our academic lectures, and man, you don't post raw footage, because that's it. Rule of thumb, people are unaware. So they will have conversations when it's not part of the official session, thinking that they're safe, they're in the clear. No, there's always a camera rolling. Conduct yourself like there's always a camera rolling.
All right. Yeah. So my thoughts are, I mean, I was initially like, oh, hell yeah, she needs to be fired and dude needs to be suspended. But I'm going to tell you, I think you guys have kind of changed my mind a bit, so I appreciate that. Because my thought is that, I still think she needed to be fired or suspended.
There just needs to be some
I think
type
she
of
needed to be fired or suspended because, um, but ultimately, it is sort of a band-aid because we're not really addressing the problem. We do need to, I mean, we do need to investigate if there was a history of um, racist behavior in terms of like, looking at her grading system. Was she going specifically after black people and things like that? And if she
yeah.
was, then yes, maybe definitively fired, suspended first, definitively fired after you find out what she's doing it. But fired for the comments does feel like they're just doing it to save face. The Georgetown is just, something ugly just happened, and it's out there in the public, and now they need to save face, so let's fire her and suspend this dude, and then there's really no solid reasoning behind it in terms of
Yeah.
but
Rude comments.
initially my initial thoughts were fire the hell out of this woman because I didn't like her comments at all.
Yeah.
But I'll say you guys kind of softened me to it a little bit. Go ahead, Lizzie.
I agree.
So my reaction is still fire the hell out of her, because I think a lot of what she was saying was her own personal bias versus the reality of what is happening at Georgetown Law.
It's hard
And
to
so
say
for
that it
those
didn't affect her grading. I mean, it's just the thinking is the thinking, right?
But the thinking, but that's her responsibility.
Right.
But I don't even buy into what she was saying, given that, and for those who aren't familiar, who are outside of the DC area, who aren't familiar with Georgetown University, Georgetown University, Georgetown Law, in terms of ranking, is one step below Ivy League. It's a very prestigious academic institution.
And it's not exceptionally diverse at all.
Okay.
So it's not exceptionally diverse, but also they're not just letting people in on a quota. Okay.
Yeah.
Certainly not Black folks in on a quota. And so for the class of 2024, I did my research, I looked this up. Class of 2024, Georgetown Law, 576 total students in Georgetown Law School in the class of 2024. Of that, I would say roughly between 44 and 50 students are Black. And so the likelihood that she had more than 5 Black students in her class, each semester,
Good way to
is
break it
minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you're
So her
telling
3
me
Black kids were probably doing. She's saying out of the 3 Black kids, all of them were doing bad. Is what she was.
all of them were low. All of them were the low ones.
No, there were some good ones. There were some good ones.
Even if that's the case, you've got to figure out why.
But that's cringy.
That's
You can't
what I'm
say
saying.
shit like
Even if
that.
that's the case,
Your job.
even if that's the case, you trying to tell me there weren't any low ones who were white?
Right.
White.
There weren't
Exactly.
any low ones who were Asian?
There had to be
There
at
weren't
least
any
3.
That's
low
true,
ones.
Liz.
There had to have been. And you're trying to tell me that Georgetown Law, Georgetown University, is admitting students, their minimum GPA for the class of 2024 was 3.86. Okay, that's pretty high. You're trying to tell me that you admitted students into your law school, only Black students, because that's what she's talking about, who were jumbled in their speaking, who couldn't keep up? To me, I call bullshit. So that's why I say I think this is a personal bias that she had, especially if she's thinking about this over the summer and she's planning her syllabus and she's going into the semester. At Howard University, Howard is an HBCU, predominantly Black. So I don't have a lot of non-Black students, whether they're from the US or countries outside of the US. I don't have a lot of non-Black students in my classes, but I do have a lot of international students. Do I go into the semester thinking, damn, these Nigerian students? No.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
And if I did, that's a personal bias with
problem.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know better.
And it's probably affecting
have that
how you're grading.
conversation during a Zoom session.
Yep.
Have I had private conversations about my dismay about all of my students and how they have been educated before they get to me? Absolutely. Because I think the US education system is shit. But I don't break it down based on, oh, well, she's from Nigeria. She's from Eritrea. Like, no, that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening.
Yeah.
So I think this was a
That's
personal bias with her, and she needed to get out of the classroom because, like Gianni said, like Neo and Rob said, it begs the question. So, what has her grading been like in the past when she sees those 3 Black students sit down in her classroom the first day?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
immediately in her head, she's like, "Oh, they're
Begs
gonna
that
be the
question.
sorry ones. They're
Make-
gonna be the weak ones." It's just
Exactly.
already,
Yeah.
So,
she's already
Setting them
stereotyped
up.
them in her head as soon as they walk in the door.
And for
and
that,
listen,
she should be fired.
I'm often frustrated. I'm often frustrated by the what my students come into my classroom with. But a lot of that isn't their fault. It certainly isn't based on race. And that's how she broke this down. And so that's where my problem comes from.
All right, let's get to these comments online. So, Mike Wolf, I like what Mike Wolf has to say often. This kind of racism results in self-fulfilling prophecy. If you expect less of Black students, you tend to find what you're expecting when you're grading.
Yep.
Which is, of course, very subjective. Grading is very subjective. And investigation, this is Jacqueline Robinson, investigations should definitely be done, but there may be students who require remedial action. You know, what is this professor willing to do? You know, and that's what I'm saying. If this were true, fine, figure it out, and let's help them, you know? Kevin Dax, has anyone looked into the work? Okay.
I don't buy into the argument that it's only her Black students who are the low ones that need some remedial help. Like, I don't buy that at all.
I don't buy into that either.
All right, Kevin Dax, has anyone looked at the work the same students produce in their other courses? And Mike Winter says, this is absolutely what can happen in classes at majority white institutions.
Listen, I went to a PWI, okay? A lot of my students are shocked when they hear I didn't go to a HBCU. I went to a PWI, and I wouldn't change anything about it. I love the University of Colorado. For graduate school, I went to NYU. However, I had students my freshman year who made the comment that I was at Colorado because of affirmative action. I was like, you better get the fuck out of here.
Really?
What was your GPA when you graduated? Actually, I just got off the plane from Finland where I got a scholarship. Where were you? Where's the affirmative action?
I thought affirmative action was old school. You're not old at all.
No,
like that's
there's still affirmative action.
No, that's affirmative action still around, girl.
But affirmative action isn't just race-based.
Oh,
affirmative action also goes into legacies. I mean, Donald Trump and what's his name? George Bush got into their Ivy Leagues because they were legacies. Because they had family members who went to the university before them. That's affirmative action. It's a form of affirmative action. But no one wants to talk about that. But yeah, I had people, you know, students at University of Colorado questioning me. And I'm like, y'all better get out of my face freshman year. Don't make me get kicked out freshman year because I have to check your ass.
All right. Great hot topic, Lizzie. Thank you very much.
Just got here.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right. As you know, we got to have our game show.
Uh-oh.
Okay, uh-oh.
I was looking at Daria Winter's comment.
Yeah, we gotta end it off fun. We've had some deep conversations.
What does that say? I can't make out any of that
I'll
text.
see if
What does that say?
Your internet's been a little spotty. Let me see if I can give you a boost. Hold on. I'm gonna give you a boost.
I don't know what is going on with my internet. This is why COVID is just hell. There we go. Yes.
All right. So, today's game is quick and dirty. The app will give you a phrase to complete or answer, and will reveal a letter, and you'll give your response that starts with the letter that is revealed as fast as you can. The person with the best and fastest response, judged by me, of course, gets a point. And the person with the most points wins the game and gets the final thought of the show. All right. So, for the example, the first one, ladies don't give a fuck about. You ready? Starting with the letter U.
Um,
Ladies don't give
Unicorn.
a fuck about blank.
Unisex bathrooms.
Unisex
Wait.
bathroom.
Gianni said unicorns.
What you got, Lizzie?
I love unicorns. Mm,
Okay, Lizzie doesn't have one. I guess. All right, we're
Umbrellas?
gonna go with unisex bathrooms. Then.
yeah, that was a good one. Good job.
Go with unisex bathrooms. All right.
Gianni,
So
I
we-
have a unicorn story for you
Uh-oh.
after show.
Okay, after the show.
Okay.
All right. All right. Why men love women? Starting with
Huh?
why do men love? Starting with the letter I.
Intellect.
Oh, I? Aw, sweet. No.
Okay, I'm gonna have to time this.
I don't think it's intellect.
Imagination?
Okay, why men love
Imagination.
women. Okay, you like imagination. All right.
Oh, my brain is shit today, guys.
I know. Usually Liz is the.
I'm going with
first one.
imagination. Then I'm going with imagination. All right.
I have nothing.
All right.
Imagination is multi-purpose.
Yeah. All right. I wish they'd legalize blank, starting with the letter O. Wish they'd legalize blank, starting with the letter O.
Not doing that.
See?
Y'all are really struggling with this one.
Yeah.
You know, I could say opiates, but I don't mean it.
Right. I wish they would legalize Oreos. Oh wait, it's sorry.
I'm gonna give you a different letter. Hold on. I wish they'd legalize.
Ostracizing people.
It's too late. All right, I'm giving a different letter. I wish they'd legalize blank, starting with the letter B.
Bank robberies.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
that's a good one.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
That's a good one. Criminal.
Bank robberies it is. All right. All right. Next question. A girl should be classy and blank. Starting with the letter R.
Ruthless. Ruthless.
Respectful.
Respectful. Classy and respectful. Okay.
Ruthless.
Classy and
We're going with ruthless.
yeah.
Ruthless. All right.
Okay.
Lizzie. All right. You just took the lead. Look at you coming back. All right.
Ruthless. Ruthless.
Yeah.
Pet
Masculine
name for
and
a
feminine.
partner.
Oh, Lord.
Starting with the letter P. Uh-oh.
Penis
Who?
pal.
Pretty
Who?
Ricky.
Pooh Bear.
Pretty Ricky. Pooh
Pretty-
Bear.
Pretty
What's
Ricky.
the other one? What was yours, Robbie? I think
Not
said
penis
penis
pal.
pal.
Pal. I'm going with Pooh Bear. I'm going with Pooh Bear. I like Pooh Bear.
Oh,
All right.
yay.
Pet name.
Pretty Ricky's what they call him. Pretty Ricky's
Pretty
what they
Ricky.
call him.
What movie is that from again? I forget.
Pretty
Barbershop.
Ricky? I thought that was a
Barbershop.
group.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Way to get over a breakup. Starting with the letter
Oh, Lord.
C. Kevin Thatcher had Pookie, by the way.
Pookie.
Way to get over a breakup. Starting with the letter C.
Cry. Yes.
Cry.
Like,
Oh, she got that in
I mean,
first.
I'm not advocating for this at all. This is just for the purposes of the show. Cocaine.
Cocaine. Damn. Robbie, you got
get
it?
over a breakup and into an addiction.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
Cannabis,
It's
cranberry. Oh,
Well,
you should
cannabis,
take, you
yeah.
should take your
Breaking
wife's.
Breaking
What
news.
happened?
Breaking news. Drew Brees just announced his retirement.
Oh my gosh.
I'm dead. Oh, Liz.
You should take your wife's. You should take your wife's answer, Robbie. Way to get over a breakup. She said cock.
What did she say?
Yeah.
Cock.
What did she say?
Cock.
No.
Like the rooster?
Yes, like a
Oh.
rooster. Yes,
That's what
correct.
she means.
Yes, like a rooster.
That's not
Yes.
how I read that. That's not
Yes,
how I read
she said
that.
you would get a rooster to get over a breakup. Yes.
Yes.
Jose, we're gonna have a
Get into
conversation after the show. That is not how I took that.
rural farming is good therapy. Get yourself a nice male chicken, raise it.
I want to give Jose a point for that one. I'm sorry. I'm giving Jose a point. She's
She's on the board.
That's not for Robbie Rock. All right, this is the last one. This is
No,
the last
hey, hold up. Jose said not rooster.
one. Not rooster.
Correction.
All right. A bad place to get dumped. All right. Starting with V. Bad place to get dumped. Y'all are really struggling today, boy.
No kidding.
I guess that abortion conversation just got you.
A Viking party.
A Viking party. All
No
right.
idea.
Vagina.
Minnesota?
In the
Get
vagina.
dumped in the vagina.
In the vagina.
That would be a horrible
that's
place
true.
to get dumped.
That is
In the
horrible.
If you're in the
vajayjay.
vagina and then you get dumped, yeah, that's a
It's
pretty bad
over.
place.
Oh,
In both aspects. That's true.
I might have to go with vagina on this one. Okay, then.
I hope my goddaughter is not
All
watching.
right, so Robbie, you're out. You're out. So Lizzie, Enders, Gianni Storm. We have one last one to break the tie. You ready? All right.
Ready.
Things nearly as good as sex. Starting with the letter E.
Like that ear thing you do when you like do that
Oh.
ear thing, like you clean your
Ear swab.
ears. Oh
We'll go
no.
with ear swab. Okay.
Yeah, ear swab.
All right, you win. You
Is it-
win.
What? I didn't even say.
Go ahead.
Election victory.
Oh, election
victory.
Oh gosh. I'm going with ear swab. All right.
You know he's wrong. Election victory.
Whatever. All right.
Cleaning your ears feels a different type of
Eggplant. Oh, see?
Eggplant.
That's called eggplant.
Oh,
Well, you know, eggplant emoji. He should have said eggplant emoji.
Disgusting.
eggplant and
No,
sex go
eggplant is disgusting.
hand in hand.
Eggplant emoji. Eggplant emoji. That's what he's talking about. All right, let's get some shout outs, guys. All right, let's start with Lizzie today.
Yo, what's up? What's up? I want to give a shout out to
Drew Brees.
no, Georgetown's own Patrick Ewing. The way they say it in the Garden, Patrick Ewing. He was accosted in the Garden earlier this week because those security people had the nerve not to know who he was, even though prior to yesterday, he had 3 Big East titles in the Garden. Yesterday, he got a 4th. Georgetown won the Big East Tournament Championship yesterday, got an automatic bid to the NCAAs. Boom! Georgetown back on the map for DC. John Thompson is smiling up in
Nice.
fake heaven. John
Nice.
Thompson is smiling up in fake heaven. So, yes,
Not
Patrick-
fake heaven.
That was some fake heaven.
Patrick Ewing.
All right, Robbie Rock.
Patrick
shout out.
Ewing.
Shout out to my wife and her amazing answers. Shout out to our host, our guest, Olivia. It was such a treat to have a gifted musical performer like her on the show. And a shout out to my fellow co-hosts. Just the conversation just keeps getting better and better. I keep learning more and more. This is a great place to be, and absolutely a shout out to our fans that tune in and are a part of this. Thank you for your questions, your comments. It really helps fuel us.
All right, and Gianni Storm.
Shout out to all of the Pisces. I'm late. It's late. It's the Pisces season, but shout out to you guys. And shout out to the astrological new year that begins on March 21st, which is also the memorial of my mother's birthday. So,
Oh, nice.
Shout out.
All right. All right, and then my shout out is going to Posh Cycling and Fitness. Visit posh.fit. Get your classes. Things are starting to heat up over at Posh. So getting some full classes finally. So get over there, posh.fit. All right. And hey, if you have a business, event, or person you want to give a shout out to, follow our hosts on social media and reach out to any of them on their social media feeds, and they may just shout you out. All right. That is all the time we have for today's show. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. We hope that maybe you learned something or gained a new perspective or even got some things off your chest. please don't forget to like, follow, subscribe at TLS Live Show. Also, if you'd like to donate to Truth Live Shenanigans, go to paypal.me/TLSDonate. Now, if you missed any of today's episodes, subscribe on YouTube to watch clips and replays tomorrow. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just type in Truth Live Shenanigans. Our next live show is on Wednesday, March 17th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. And Friday nights at 6:30, don't forget to check out Gianni Storm and Olivia E. on TLS Unscripted. Our winner for the show for our final thought is Miss Gianni Storm.
Come through, Gianni. Come through.
Close us out. What's your final thought for the day?
Final thought is, although we've had some heavy topics and it just seems like we're learning more and more. And not only are we learning, but we're starting to come up with effective ideas for change. A lot of brilliant people around the world are coming together. It's a time and an era of community. So just soak into that and give your opinion, even if you feel like you're not the teacher, you just feel like you're a student. Always give your opinion. You never know who it can help. So thank you guys for joining every week, every Wednesdays and Sundays.
All right. Thank you so much, Olivia Griffin, for joining us. And thanks to Gianni, Rob, Lizzie, and our people behind the scenes, Miss Jose and Olivia E. We will see you next time. Have a great one, guys. See you Wednesday.
Shenanigans. Truth, lies.